Hello aspirants, this lecture will be covering West Asia and let us begin. So first we have the mountains and highlands of West Asia as usual. So first of all, West Asia covers the countries starting from Turkey after Europe and covers entire Middle East, entire Arabian Peninsula, all the countries surrounding Saudi Arabia and extends up till Iran in the east. So this region, what we usually consider is as a highly desert region, but it is not true completely. There are a lot of deserts and deserts do play a lot of important role in the socio-cultural life of the people living there. But mountains are also very important because mountains play a huge role in the creation of these deserts. So first we have a look at the plates of how these mountains were formed. So we have the African and Arabian plates. So these plates, as you know, is pushing against towards the Eurasian plate. African plate is going up, so is the Arabian plate, and they're pushing against the Eurasian plate. Remember this Anatolian plate over here. This will play a huge role in the coming up few slides. Okay, so remember these two plates are pushing up and creating a mountainous region because we'll be seeing formation with the help of continent collisions. I hope you guys remember what continent collisions leads to. Next we have Zagros and Elburz mountains of Iran. Now Zagros mountains are present here while Elburz are here. So how did the Zagros mountains form? Now what did we just learn in the last slide? We learned that African and Asian plate is striking up. So this is the Asian plate. Now what happened here was Gulf of Persia is here. So this entire region is actually over a continental plate. There is seawater here, but the average depth of Gulf of Persia is just 35 meters. So once that happens, then that region can be considered a continental plate. We know what happens in continent collisions. Fold mountains form. That's how Zagros mountains were formed here. So, and northern Iran, we have the Elburz mountains. Highest peak of Elburz mountains present here, Mount Damawan, that is, I think, also volcanic mountain. This forms a part of the Alpine Himalayan system. Now, those who have not watched the Europe lecture, for them, let me just tell you, there is an Alpine Himalayan system. We know the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire extends across entire Pacific Ocean, covers the entire Pacific. Similarly, we have an Alpine Himalayan system. So, Alpine Himalayan system is usually when the plates are colliding against the Eurasian plate in the north. Right now, we saw African plate colliding, Eurasian Indian plate colliding. So, when these plates collide, and there are several smaller plates also, when these plates collide, it forms a series of young fold mountains starting from the Himalayas and ending till the Pyrenees mountain ranges between Spain and France. So if I have to explain to you, if this is the earth, then, and we end the Ring of Fire here, Himalayas start here and it extends the entire range, covering both the Elburz mountains, the Zagros mountains, everything it covers, and covers Europe, Alps, mountains of Europe, Caucasus mountains, and reaches up till the Pyrenees of Spain and France. Now, Anatolian Plateau. Last slides, I had told you that about the African and the Indian plate colliding against the Eurasian plate. Now, Anatolian Plateau, when this collision was taking place, Anatolian Plateau just lifted up, not in a perfectly mountainous region. Now, why did that happen? So, when the rock bed is extremely old, it does not move as much. Now, Himalayas, Alps, these young fold mountains, their soil is not yet as firm as Anatolian Plateau. So these mountains just rose up when continent collisions took place. However, that was not true in the case of Anatolian mountains. Over here, when the plate started pushing against the Eurasian plate, then the Anatolian Plateau region started resisting it because it is a very hardened rock. Hence, it just lifted up entirely and not in a mountainous region as you see in Alps and Himalayas. But the boundaries of the plateau were always young soil, like young soil of Himalayas and the Alps. So mountains formed around the Anatolian Plateau and not in between. Hence, we had the Pontic Mountains in the north and Taurus Mountains in the south. Now we are entering into deserts, what this entire region is famous for. First of all, Saudi Arabia is not entirely desert. One is Rubal Khali Desert over here, and another is another sandy desert, An-Nafud Desert. Both of these deserts are connected by another desert in between. It's called Ad-Dahna. Now, Rubal Khali Desert is considered the longest sand desert, the largest sand desert in the entire world. Just remember, Rubal Khali extends into Oman, Yemen as well, UAE as well. So it's huge desert. An-Nafud is also a big sandy desert, but not as big as the Rubal Khali. Another desert, Syrian desert, is over here. So if you were asked the north-south extension of these deserts, you will start with the Syrian desert. Then you come across the An-Nafud. Then the Henna, one that connects both. Finally, Rubal Khali. Above Syrian desert is the Negev desert. So Negev desert forms a part of Israel. When we are going from the Mediterranean coast and entering into the hinterlands of the Arabian Peninsula, what will we come across? From the Mediterranean coast, we will find lush green vegetations of the Mediterranean coast. And then when we are getting inside the continentality, vegetation will change. How will it change? So first we will have the rocky deserts of Syria. That's how it comes. The rocky deserts of Syria. Then starts the sandy deserts of An-Nafud and Rubal Khali finally. So remember, when we are coming from north to south, slowly the desert environment changes and becomes more sandy. Here is the Iran deserts now. After the Arabian Peninsula, we are completely shifting gear towards Iran. So Iran has two very famous deserts. One is the Dasht-e Kavir and Dasht-e Lut. So Dasht-e Kavir is right bang in the middle of Iran and it is a salt desert. If you have visited the Run of Kutch, you will understand what a salt desert is. Salt desert is basically salt pans. An entire region is just covered in a layer of salt. That is the Dasht-e Kavir, while the Dasht-e Lut is one of the hottest places on earth, and it is comprised of many rock boulders. Huge rock boulders are there, and it says that because they absorb a lot of heat from the sun, that's the reason why Dasht-e Lut becomes the hottest region on the planet Earth. Not any other desert, but this one, Dasht-e Lut. So, and this is the Negev desert, as I explained earlier, semi-arid to arid. You see, semi-arid desert. So sometimes water is also there. And then north south extension, you will find Syrian desert, and the Food desert, Ad-Dahna desert, and finally the Rubal Khali desert. We have the reason why there are deserts here. So we have always considered as proud UPSC aspirants that there are two basic reasons for the formation of deserts. One is the presence of a cold ocean current, but over here there are no cold ocean currents present. And the second is presence in the high pressure belt, 30-35 degrees north and south of the equator. I hope you guys are still practicing this diagram. Whenever you study geography, just remember you need to practice this diagram. Equator, and this will be 30-35 degrees. Winds will be flowing towards the equator. So It's somewhere here is what we find the Arabian Peninsula and the West Asia. Now, this does play a very major factor because it stops rainfall from happening. But another very important reason which we are seeing, and this is for those who are following the entire series, this is the second time we are seeing that continentality is playing a much bigger role for the formation of these deserts. First, we saw in North America, continentality played a huge role in the formation of those deserts close to California. Over here also we are seeing the same thing. What are we seeing? So yes, 25 degrees covered. Now distance from the oceans. Now rain shadow effects of Zagros, Elburz and Taurus. Zagros and Elburz main reasons for the formation of Iranian deserts because they do not allow any monsoons to come and neither do they allow any winds from Russia, Siberian winds to come across and cool down the atmosphere at least. Continental interiors dominate. They are close to the ocean, but it fails over there as well because 20 to 25 degrees north and south of the equator, there will be high pressure and it won't allow winds to rise up and create rainfall. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. See, sand deserts, Rub al-Khali and the food deserts. Rocky deserts, Syria, this is how it completely looks like. Now Dasht-e, these are the huge boulders and rocks I was talking about. So you see these huge boulders and rocks, they absorb a lot of heat. And that's why that might be one of the reasons why it has one of the hottest places in the world. These are mostly gravel deserts called Reg. Lastly, we have the salt deserts or Dasht-e Kavir. Now, the only major river system of Europe is the Tigris-Euphrates system. Remember, both of them originate from Turkey. They almost have the same route, just flowing in different directions. They form a small kind of a boundary with Iran and Iraq, and then they flow into the Persian Gulf. This boundary is called the Shatt-al-Arab. Over here, this region is the Shatt-al-Arab. It forms a boundary between Iran and Iraq, Euphrates and Tigris. So Euphrates is the longer river, flows through Turkey, Syria and Iraq, like this, while Tigris is the smaller river. It just touches Syria over here, forms somewhat of a border between Syria and Turkey, and then flows down. Both of them meet over here. This is Al-Qurna, Basra region. This is Basra in Iraq. And then it flows down, forming the Shatt-al-Arab into the Gulf of Persia. Another river is the Jordan River. Now this is important because it lies in an area that is always geopolitically active, Israel. Israel and surrounding countries are always having a political dispute with each other. So we have the Jordan River. Now the important part of Jordan River is where it starts, Mount Hermon. Now this is an AI generated map, so this will not be exact, but it will give you an idea. So Mount Hermon, it starts, goes below, it crosses the Sea of Galilee, then it goes into the Dead Sea and ends there. Now Dead Sea is not connected to any other sea. It is again an endorheic basin, that is a basin which is inland. It is not connected to the open ocean. That is an endorheic basin. So that's what we have. Now Mount Hermon is present in the Anti-Lebanon mountains. This is for the first time and the only time you will find two parallel mountain ranges named in a very strategic manner. One is the Lebanon mountains and the other is the Anti-Lebanon mountains. Kind of weird but easy to remember as well. Lebanon and Anti-Lebanon mountains. Mount Hermon, and that's where it starts. The Jordan River. Seas. Learning the seas of West Asia is actually quite easy. It is like entire region of West Asia is surrounded in a circle. So when we say West Asia, first and foremost come across Israel. Now the sea which borders Israel is Mediterranean Sea. From the Mediterranean Sea, when we move up, we reach the Black Sea. Then we go further east, we get to the Caspian Sea. From the Caspian Sea, we go down again and we come across the Arabian Sea. Finally, Strait of Hormuz, Persian Gulf, and back Red Sea, and from Red Sea back to the Mediterranean Sea. Just remember these. Now, what you need to remember over here is the Strait of Hormuz. And over here we have Bab el-Mandeb is over here. Bab el-Mandeb. These two you must remember. Second you must remember is the Suez Canal. Gulf of Aqaba is right here. Sorry. Gulf of Aqaba. Why is it important? This is the region from where Jordan, Israel and Egypt, all three countries can actually reach the Red Sea. Egypt has completely access, but mostly for Israel and Jordan, they can have an access to the Red Sea through the Gulf of Aqaba and into the Red Sea. So remember, these are some very important choke points. Now, what are choke points? Choke points are those regions on the planet Earth where a huge amount of maritime shipping takes place. One example is the Persian Gulf. Now, Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz is actually more important. These days, Iran is boiling. So, the biggest concern for the entire world is what if Iran stops the Strait of Hormuz? A huge percentage of world's energy exports goes from the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran is very much capable of blocking it. So, one of the choke points is Strait of Hormuz. Another is the Bab el-Mandeb. I would like you to open your atlases and look where the Bab el-Mandeb Strait is, because that's what joins the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. Again, a huge number of cargo ships, energy exports, and entire maritime industry is dependent on the Bab el-Mandeb. Also, many of you must have guessed, Red Sea connecting to the Mediterranean Sea, Suez Canal, and another extremely important choke point. West Asia is full of choke points. Now, because Israel and Iran are always in turmoil, so it is important that we look into it. Our target is Prelims 2026. So, Israel in detail. Now, so when you look at Israel, we get Lebanon in the north, Syria. Now, Golan Heights is over here. Why was Golan Heights so important that a couple of years back UPSC asked this question in prelims? Golan Heights is a disputed land between Israel and Syria. In 1967 war, Israel occupied Golan Heights and still keeps it. The importance of Golan Heights is equal to what importance we have for Siachen Glacier. From Siachen Glacier, we can have a good viewpoint of our enemy's movements. So does Israel from Golan Heights. That's why Golan Heights becomes automatically important for Israel, and that's why Syria also wants it and keeps on demanding it back. Next, we go down, we get Syria and Jordan, and finally we get Egypt. Now, this region of Egypt is called Sinai Peninsula. These are not Palestinian terrain. Again, this is AI generated map, you don't trust it completely. But remember, the Gaza Strip is just a small strip of land bordering Egypt and Israel, while this is actually the Palestinian territories. The West Palestine is over here. The West Bank is over here, while the Gaza Strip is over here. So West Bank comparatively is a huge region compared to the Gaza Strip. Now, Iran in detail, we have covered Iran in detail as it is. We've covered the Zagros mountains, the Elburz mountains, and these two mountains are mostly responsible for the formation of Dasht-e Kavir and Dasht-e Lut. Now what do we have? We have the borders of Iran. Yes, it is important. Now, Iran. When we think of Iran, we do not think that it will form a boundary with Turkey, because psychologically we think Turkey is a part of Europe. So when Turkey is a part of Europe, why would it form a boundary, a land boundary with Iran? But it does. Always remember, Iran forms a land boundary with Turkey. Iraq, obviously, through Shatt-al-Arab as well as the general boundary. Then we have Turkey over here, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and we come across Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Okay, and the Strait of Hormuz is shared with UAE and Iran. And that's it, guys, for West Asia. Next, we will be covering Central Asia. It will be a very short lecture, hardly 10 minutes. So let's get that also done with. Thank you.